In this video, we're going to talk about how to read the notes in the treble clef. The word clef is a key to decoding what notes are on the staff. The treble clef is sometimes called a G clef because the big loop, and we're talking about this loop over here, is around the line of the note G. One way to learn the notes on the staff is to use a mnemonic or a memory saying for the lines and spaces. So when we memorize "every good boy does fine," the first letter of each of those words stands for E, G, B, D, and F. I'll show you where they are on the staff in a second. The spaces spell the notes from bottom up, F-A-C-E, or in other words, the word face. The space just below the staff is a D, and just above the staff is a G. Let me show you what I mean. So on this staff, if we write a G clef there, if we think of the saying, "every good boy does fine," we're talking about the notes E, G, B, D, and F. So that's one way to memorize the 5 lines on the staff. If we're talking about the spaces, F, A, C, and E, then that's where those notes belong. In addition, the other notes that I talked about, the space just below the staff is a D, and the one sitting just on top of the staff is a G. Okay, we can extend the staff in different directions by adding what we call a ledger line. Think of that as a temporary staff line, about the same space below this last line as that is above. And we can keep going down from notes. So if that's an E and this is a D, then this over here is a C. That's the one we call middle C. And going in the other direction from this F, I could add a note there. And if that's an F, this is a G, then that note over there is an A. That's all explained here. We could do more than one ledger line if we want to keep extending the staff, and it's way easier to do that for single notes than to have a 7-line or a 9-line or an 11-line staff, God forbid. So just as we said here, the first ledger line below the staff is C, and the first one above is A. Let me give you a somewhat different way of thinking of the treble clef notes. And this is a little bit unusual, but you'll see that it can make sense. If you can memorize where all of the C's and F's are, you can get the other notes in relation to those, just like on the piano, where the C is the one just below the 2 black keys, and that starts C, D, E going up. And the F is the one just below the 3 black keys that are together, and that starts F, G, A, and B. If you look at a keyboard scheme right below the staff, you'll see what I mean. So what I did, just for the point of illustration, here on the keyboard, middle C and the C above that, I put those in red, and that corresponds to the C over there, and it corresponds to the C over there. and that starts the group of white note and then 2 black notes. And the group of 3 black notes, the one that starts at the F, that would be over here, and this F is the one over here at the top of the staff. Okay, so what do we do with that? If you memorize where the C's and F's are, then you could think about if that's a C, then you know that the note above that is a D and the one above that is an E. If you know that that's an F, then you know that the one above that is a G, the one below the F is an E, and if that's a G, then the one above is an A, and the one above that is a B, in the same way that you're thinking F, G, A, B on a keyboard. So that way, instead of having 5 lines and 4 spaces and the ones on either side to memorize, if you just memorize where the C's and F's are, you could get the other notes in relation to them, because everything's either a C or an F or something next to it, except for the A over here, which is midway in between the C's and the F's. And actually, that's the way a harp knows where the notes are, because a harp doesn't have black keys. It's just got strings all the way up. And the harpist knows where all the strings are, what notes they are, because all of the C's are colored red and all of the F's are colored blue. So, whichever method you choose, you can practice until you get more familiar with the notes. So you can make yourself index cards, or there are iPhone apps that have sets of index cards that already have the musical notes on them. Or you could get any piece of music, a lead sheet, and just read the letter names aloud as you go along. And in that way you'll get more fluent, and with time, not too long, you'll get more familiar with the notes on the staff. That's all for today. Now go practice.